thrusters, and we have a completion of the burn.
Integrity, good. CM raise burn. Your flight path angle is within limits.
Integrity copies. Looks good on board, Jackie.
So the final maneuver is now complete. Our trajectory for a splashdown in the Pacific 29 minutes from now is set and will not be amended any further. And we have the right angle of attack to mitigate any excessive heat loads on the vehicle during entry interface.
Integrity Houston, a heads up about comm coverage. When you perform the 180 roll, for the first minute or so in that attitude, we expect about a minute LOS.
We copy.
Amanda, can you translate? LOS, can you explain that for our audience?
Loss of signal. NASA is known for its acronyms to shorten everything. LOS means loss of signal, so they won't be able to communicate with the capsule, and the capsule won't be able to communicate with control there.
So 1 minute of that, and then there's going to be the significant longer LOS a little bit later on, correct?
Correct. Yeah. So when that heat starts to build up, the plasma that is, being created from the 5,000 degree temperatures actually blocks that signal. So that is when that 6 to 7 minute loss of signal will happen during that heating period.
So communication loss of signal is now occurring. We're, of course, monitoring this very, very closely. You're looking here live at Mission Control Center. We also have this picture here as well from, again, the John P. Murtha, the USS Navy vessel, where we expect to see the long lens shot of the Orion capsule being slowly lowered down by all the parachutes upon deployment. We'll continue to listen in here to the NASA broadcast.
PM Central Time. During that period of time, we will reach our peak speed of 24,661 miles per hour. That comes just short, based on unofficial data from the flight dynamics officer right now, will come just short of the velocity record set by Apollo 10 of 24,791 miles per hour in 1969. We expect peak heating on the vehicle at 6:54 and 52 seconds p.m. Central Time, a minute and 22 seconds into entry interface. At that point, we will be just 204,000 feet above the Earth, traveling at 33,000 feet per second. The blackout period is expected to last 6 minutes. We expect that blackout period to end at 6:59 and 55 seconds p.m. Central Time. From the end of the blackout period until splashdown, it is just 7 minutes, at which point we'll start deploying the series of parachutes to slow integrity down to an ultimate splashdown velocity of just 19 miles an hour.
We see the same, waiting for the 180 rolls.
We now have a split screen here on the left, a live look at the splashdown zone from the USS John P. Murtha. On the right, NASA Plus's live broadcast. We're continuing to listen in for audio. You can see just over 25 minutes away from splashdown.
Sequence once again will come in several segments, but in rapid fire succession.
And we have a great view of the moon out window 2. Looks a little smaller than yesterday.
Guess we'll have to go back.
Reed Wiseman and Jackie Mahaffey exchanging discussion on a view of the moon that Integrity's astronauts are seeing in the final minutes of this mission that will be completed with splashdown just 25 minutes from now. 3 forward bay cover parachutes will be used to pull the forward bay cover off the top of the vehicle. Then 2 drogue parachutes will be deployed to slow and stabilize the crew module during its descent. followed by 3 pilot parachutes that will lift and deploy the main parachutes from the forward bay. The final sequence will have 3 main parachutes deployed. These will be 116 feet in diameter, each main parachute approximately 265 feet long when reefed. The parachutes will ultimately slow Integrity down from its peak speed of almost 33 times the speed of sound to a gentle 19 miles an hour at splashdown. The vehicle is now currently in a roll to the proper attitude for entry interface. Our trajectory is right on according to flight dynamics. Integrity is on a trajectory from southwest and northeast across the Pacific Ocean, descending at a rate of 15,000 feet per second. Range to touchdown 4,300 nautical miles, all the systems in excellent shape.
Integrity, Orion in the EI roll 180 attitude.
Looks good on board, Jackie.
This view out of one of Integrity's windows. We had a call for 3 good baros. Those are barometric pressure sensors that feed altitude and rate of descent information to Integrity's computers that will trigger the parachute deployment sequence. We are less than 9 minutes away from entry interface, 22 minutes from splashdown. You can see the reflection of one of the crew members in the window. Out in the Pacific, the weather conditions remain go. Just a few clouds, some scattered clouds, winds at 10 knots, wave heights just about 4 feet.
Let's bring in Chief Meteorologist Jeff Baradelli. Jeff, as we listen there, they're clearly going over the forecast. Just want to let you finish the forecast conditions optimal, right?
Sure. I mean, you know, this is great. I mean, like I said, there's a storm to the north of them, far enough north, so it's not really making for any issues there. So as you can see, the seas are relatively calm. I mean, that's calm for off California. Winds are about 10 miles an hour in San Diego right now. There's a decent amount of sun. There's no rain for hundreds of miles. There is some rain in San Francisco, but it's not as far south as San Diego. So honestly, the weather is not going to be a big player, hopefully, in this at all. It's looking really good. Yeah.
Thank you to Chief Meteorologist Jeff Baradelli for the forecast. Let's get you back to NASA Live.
Houston, purge is complete. Crew and vehicle are configured for entry.
Houston copies.
And we're in step 37, transferring nav state to BFS. And Houston, in instruction 509, we are not below 0.2.
Integrity, no action required.
Integrity.
Now 6 minutes away from entry interface. We will hit the first traces of Earth's atmosphere at an altitude of 400,000 feet, traveling about 34,882 feet per second. Ranged splashdown at that point will be 1,701 nautical miles.
Let's bring back in Max Fenderate meteorologist, NASA correspondent for Next Star Nation, Amanda Holly. Amanda, take it away.
I've been obviously listening to the comms here back and forth. You heard him talk earlier about that angle of attack, and they said, they were good. That angle of reentry, right? That was a critical point because it is so small, the point that they have to enter the atmosphere that they are aiming for. That if they don't hit it, they very clearly said in one of their press conferences yesterday or the day before that they won't, the heat shield's not going to work. So it's really good to hear that they are hitting that angle of attack appropriately. That is one green check off of this list. And again, we're getting closer and closer to that, most critical point, that 6-minute period of blackout where that heat shield is protecting those astronauts.
Am I seeing this right? If I'm looking here, is that a reflection in the, let's see if I can bring this up full screen so we can see. It looks like there's a reflection there or there was for a moment, and it looked like they were the astronauts in that reflection. But I just want to make sure.
Yeah, I saw that
right.
earlier in their shot where they were panning around a little bit when they were doing that roll again, reorienting their capsule in the right configuration for entry. We saw some of their orange suits. That was pretty cool.
Yeah, let's get you back to NASA Plus Live. We continue our coverage here. As a reminder, we're paying attention to the comment section on Facebook Live, YouTube Live, TikTok Live, some other places as well. After splashdown occurs, we're going to be bringing in a lot of our comments from the comment section, so stick around. We're going to have a fun chat back and forth as we continue to monitor the progress as we get closer to splashdown here for Artemis II.
This view from Integrity as it crosses from southwest to northeast across the Pacific Ocean, 3 minutes from entry interface. "16.5 minutes till splashdown." The USS John P. Murtha and the recovery team is on station and in position, as are the airborne imagery assets that we hope to receive imagery from as Artemis enters the Earth's atmosphere and through parachute deployment.
Let's bring in Josh Scott here in the Stream Center. And Josh, we're getting close to that key moment. This is the 7:53 timestamp where, of course, we get to that 400,000-foot ceiling for Orion.
Yeah, it's pretty incredible. I think, I've played the fanboy here, and I'm going to continue doing that. This is, just look at this view. You're seeing this live from the capsule, seeing Earth. Everyone that you know is in this shot right now. We are on the NASA Plus feed, and you're seeing it, and you can imagine what the atmosphere is like as they re-enter our atmosphere there in the Orion capsule. It's truly incredible.
Let's get you back to NASA Plus's coverage. We'll continue to monitor the comment section on Facebook Live, TikTok Live, YouTube Live. We'll be bringing in your comments here shortly. We're live here from the Stream Center, Tampa, Florida. Let's listen in.
Coming up on 1 minute until entry interface. Mark, 1 minute until entry interface. 1 minute, 20 seconds until the expected start of our 6-minute blackout.
Integrity, 1 minute to a 6-minute blackout.
Integrity.
Ten seconds till entry interface. And we have crossed the threshold, now entering the Earth's atmosphere. We're at 400,000 feet, traveling 34,800 feet per second. Time to splash down, 13 minutes, 10 seconds.
We're now going to take you live full screen because we do not know how much longer we are going to have this shot. In fact, there it goes. All right. Oh, wait. All right. The signal is clearly breaking up as we're going to start to see the tiniest bits of debris from the Orion spacecraft break apart here during the reentry process. Actually, now that we are in blue, I believe that we have completely lost signal now
away from the anticipated point of peak heating on the
Orion.
vehicle, where temperatures will rise to about 4,000 to 5,000 degrees Fahrenheit. This is the true test of our trajectory.
This is interesting now.
And from the G5 aircraft in the vicinity of the splashdown zone, this view of integrity. So that pinpoint of light shows the vehicle as it enters the period of peak heating in the Earth's atmosphere, the first tug of gravity being felt by Integrity's astronauts since their launch back on April 1st.
The crew expected to experience up to 3.9 Gs in this phase of reentry. That shot was wild to see Orion there just a few pixels big.
The blackout period. Time to splash down, 11 minutes, 33 seconds.
Look at all those people and all the anticipation right there.
Again, on the left, a live look at the USS John P. Murtha. That is the Navy vessel charged with retrieving the astronauts once splashdown occurs. We're listening in. We're not going to mute the audio any further. We're listening in to the radio transmission here from Mission Control.
About 1:40 since this blackout phase started.
To those just tuning in, JB Buno, Josh Scott.
The support officer reports that the P3 has acquisition on Integrity.
Garrett Phillips and Amanda Holly here with you.
3.5 minutes left in this blackout period. This is a visualization of the plasma buildup around the spacecraft and the repelling of that heat on Integrity's heat shield.
Amanda, this is that key moment you talked about earlier.
That peak heating, yeah. So that's a visualization there, but that is what the astronauts are experiencing, that 5,000 degree Fahrenheit, 16.5 diameter heat shield protecting those astronauts inside that capsule at a cool 75 degrees.
Again, we're live with a shot there on the left.
Reports that airborne assets in the vicinity of the splashdown zone do have a visual on Integrity. Still 2 minutes and 40 seconds left in our blackout period.
2 minutes
to splashdown, 9 minutes, 35 seconds.
2 minutes and 40 seconds left before we anticipate getting communication back with the astronauts aboard Orion. We have a long lens shot here from the pool feed from the USS John P. Murtha, so they'll be able to zoom in. They were testing the zoom about an hour ago, and the zoom is wild on the camera.
Assets, as part of the recovery team, all have visuals on integrity.
They'll be able to zoom in on that iconic shot, the historic shot of the parachutes being deployed or fully deployed at that point as Orion gets lowered down into the Pacific.
Want to bring to your attention too, JB, in the bottom right screen there.
And the WB-57 flying in the splashdown zone also has a visual.
Velocity number.
And the Navy helos also have visuals.
Those visuals are obviously significantly important.
We're still in the blackout period. Still do not have communications from the crew.
4 minutes of the 6 minutes in now. It's incredible to watch those numbers fall.
We hope it falls down to zero.
That's right.
And we have a gentle landing in the Pacific Ocean off the coast of San Diego, California.
Communications from the crew. We should be out of the blackout period less than a minute from now.
You see a shot there of a welcome home t-shirt on the left on the USS John P. Murtha. The crew's ready to retrieve the astronauts. The USS Navy assisting NASA.
We are now processing data from integrity. Landing and support officer reports the small boats are en route to the splashdown target zone.
And you see on the left, we've got some phones out. We might have, or might be getting closer to an initial visual. For those just joining, these are the key moments as we expect Mission Control to reestablish communication here with Orion momentarily.
Passing through 150,000 feet, our trajectory is perfect. We're getting intermittent views of integrity. Still waiting to establish voice communication.
Integrity, Houston, comm check, post-blackout.
Houston, Integrity, we have you loud and clear.
Your trajectory is nominal, and your recovery teams have visual.
Guidance looks good.
No action for the enabled internal camera controller fail.
Big cheers from the viewing room here in Mission Control as voice communication reestablished with Commander Reed Wiseman. For America and a waiting world, Integrity is 5.5 minutes away from coming home.
That was the moment that so many at NASA
Passing 100,000 feet now.
were waiting for. Reestablishing communication, Orion intact,
Range
and getting closer to the Pacific.
19 nautical miles.
Looks like a thermal camera here. I mean, the relief I felt.
Sure. I think everyone
That's right.
watching, I'm sure, felt some relief to hear that voice come through on comms. And we're waiting for the initial shot. We will go full screen to that shot
Integrity,
momentarily.
Impact to the camera controller fail is no cab 1 views of the chutes.
Integrity.
We're processing good data through the GPS system. A good view of integrity, time to splashdown 4.5 minutes. And a view of integrity from the WB-57. We're at 50,000 feet. The pyros are armed for forward bay covered jettison.
And now we're looking for parachute deployment.
And there go the first series of parachutes. And we're on drogues.
And you heard the cheers.
2 drogues out the window.
2 good drogue shoots. Next up,
We copy. We see them.
next up, the deployment of pilot parachutes that will pull the main chutes out. Time to splash down 3 minutes and 10 seconds.
Let's go split screen here. So waiting for the camera from the USS John P. Murtha to sight.
Good rates on 2 drogues.
We keep the same on board.
Passing through 10,000 feet, still on drogues.
And there you have it, right there. Now within view of the Navy recovery vessel, more parachutes now being deployed.
Main chute deploy. We're at 5,000 feet. Search and recovery beacon has been activated on integrity. And we have 3 good main chutes. Good 3 main chutes, good reefing, good descent rate.
Good rates, and we see 3 good-looking parachutes. Integrity. Cabin pressure indicates no need for hydrazine checks.
Integrity copies.
This is a perfect descent for integrity. Its crew sounding hale and hearty on board. Time to splash down 1 minute, 15 seconds. Integrity about to complete a journey spanning 694,481 miles from its launch from the Kennedy Space Center back on April 1st, and a trip around the moon. Passing through 1,000 feet.
I'm curious what that is firing there. I assume we're seeing it on the thermal camera.
That is the thermal camera. So let's go side by side here. Show you the actual shot from the USS John P. Murtha. So there you have thermal imagery on the right. Oh, okay, now they're switching over on the NASA feed. And this is an incredible shot because the feed on the right is likely from a chopper in the air, now higher than it. And here we get ready for splashdown. Let's go full screen to the USS John P. Murtha.
Integrity splashdown, sending post.
And there you have it. Splashdown for Artemis II. 4 astronauts safely home. Let's listen in.
Pages of Jules Verne to a modern-day mission to the moon. A new chapter of the exploration of our celestial neighbor is complete. Integrity's astronauts back on Earth.
Where's the applause button, JB?
Yeah, let's hit the applause button.
Stable 1, we still will be deploying the crew module uprighting system to maintain that orientation. A perfect bullseye splashdown for Integrity and its 4 astronauts.
I mean, wow, look at that.
These images are absolutely incredible.
That dot in the ocean.
Pinpoint precision to get that close to the USS John P. Murtha, a coordination occurring, of course, between NASA and the U.S. Navy. For it to get that close to that ship, pretty extraordinary.
I know I said I felt relief when we had the comms back. I did not feel relief.
The unofficial splashdown time, 7:07 and 47 seconds p.m. Central Time. We'll get that refined for you. That would put the end of the mission at a mission elapsed time of 9 days, 1 hour, 31 minutes, 35 seconds.
I did not feel true relief till those parachutes were out.
And we're configuring for very low data rate. Once again, splashdown occurring in the Pacific, southwest of San Diego at 7:07 and 47 seconds p.m.
Integrity Houston, comm check on VLDR.
There it is. And we'll show you now
We have you loud and clear on VLDR, Hollis.
And now these are the boats heading their way.
Same, we'll meet you over in post-landing.
Perfect communications established.
A journey. We are stable 1, 4 green crew members.
Houston copies all.
Reed Wiseman reporting 4 green crew members. That is not their complexion. That is the fact that they're in great condition. That's what that means. So stable 1, upright. The crew module uprighting system is being deployed. The 5 airbags being inflated through helium to maintain the upright configuration for the vehicle. This was a textbook entry and a textbook touchdown for Integrity. Reed Wiseman, Victor Glover, Christina Cook, and Jeremy Hansen back on Earth after a journey around the moon.
They nailed it to the minute.
I was
To
the
the
other
minute.
point. Incredible.
The splashdown zone, perfect. And I mean, we heard about the 8:07 Eastern time a long time ago. Was it yesterday or even the day before that they had pinpointed that time? It hit it to the minute.
I think April 4th was the article that I was originally polling from. They knew 6 days ago.
To the minute.
Incredible.
And I can't even wake up on time. It's crazy.
Can't make it to work on time.
Okay.
Welcome into the Stream Center, JB Buno, Garrett Phillips, Josh Scott. We are relieved. You can hear it in our voices. I can't imagine what it's like for NASA at Mission Control. Can't imagine what it's like aboard the USS John P. Murtha. And no one is happier.
To monitor the functioning of the CMOOS system, the airbags are being inflated to maintain a stable 1 or upright configuration. And there's a good view from one of the naval helicopters hovering overhead. Reed Wiseman reporting 4 green crew members, meaning they're all in excellent shape.
No one happier than Wiseman, Glover, Koch, and Hansen and their families. Can you imagine their families right now?
Maybe their families.
I'm happy that they clarified what 4 green crew members meant, because I thought they were bringing back moon people.
Beacon and radio.
Truly.
Oh, I thought you were saying green because they were seasick already. I don't know.
Our beacon is in 406, and we're powering the radio now. Go ahead.
We see the beacon on. However, the recovery team is not seeing the signal. Your SAW radio uses the same antenna, so you may run into trouble with the radio.
You talk about, looking green. Can you imagine?
Okay, copy. We are also powering up the sat phone now.
They went from no gravity, basically zero gravity, to gravity returning in the cockpit, and now they're
trying to reorient themselves.
The motion
water,
of the
Well,
ocean.
Integrity is in great shape, and as the crew continues its post-splashdown timelined activities on board, Reed Wiseman once again reporting that all 4 crew members are in excellent shape. And we have 5 inflated airbags to maintain an upright configuration so that the recovery team can now begin a slow approach to the vehicle. Meanwhile, here in the flight control room, Entry Flight Director Rick Henfling is polling his team of flight controllers for the start of powering down the vehicle after a thorough systems check. We have no toxic gases to be concerned about, so the recovery personnel can approach the vehicle, but not until we have powered down the spacecraft. That's expected to take a few more minutes.
Just take the key out of the ignition,
That's
right?
Just turn it off.
Just turn it off.
My car's a push to start. We've had that tech for a while, right?
I like the push to start. I wonder how many buttons it takes to turn off Orion. Amanda? Oh, yeah, I think you're muted, Amanda. Oh, no, we still don't have Amanda. Oh, what should happen? Amanda, we're trying to bring you in. I see you. Well, Amanda's joining us on Zoom.
Earth, following its historic flyby of the moon. It was, for all intents and purposes, a textbook mission.
On 2828, but I'll remain on this frequency.
Can we acknowledge?
We copy.
They brought back 4 astronauts from a round trip to the moon. I can't get Amanda on Zoom.
Well, we know that the Apollo mission, right?
But that's not an issue. What is more important is that the vehicle is solid. No issues as we begin the power down of the vehicle to begin the recovery process.
I was going to say, I know that the Apollo mission, right, it led to a lot of advances in technology. Maybe this mission will be the first to lead to some Zoom technology advancements for that communication blackout as they try to fix that issue. Fix our issue here in the Stream Center.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't perfect. There was the plumbing issues. There was an Outlook issue, I believe, as well with Orion. But this is the part of the process you want it to go as smooth as possible. And I'll be curious if this was a 10 out of 10 for NASA because from a location and a timing standpoint, I mean, you're talking about pinpoint precision unlike we've really.
The propulsion officer here in Mission Control reports that we have safed the prop system on integrity.
Can you say again that was very weak and broken?
Integrity, Houston did not call.
I was going to say, you talk about a 10 out of 10. I mean, I'm sure that those 4 astronauts.
It might have been on the side radio. Stand by.
I'm sure the 4 astronauts are thinking, you know what? We can deal with an Outlook issue. We can deal with the plumbing issue. Everything that was important we got right, and that's a 10 out of 10, I'm sure, in their books as well.
All of the milestones were executed in perfect fashion. Integrity entering the Earth's atmosphere right on time, reaching its peak speed shortly after a blackout period began. We emerged from the blackout period, but the recovery imagery airborne assets were able to pick up Integrity's descent almost immediately through entry interface, tracking the vehicle all the way down. And finally, you saw the sequence of chute deployments. First, the forward bay cover being pulled off the top of the vehicle by a series of 3 parachutes. Then the drogue chutes were deployed, followed by the 3 main chutes that slowed the splashdown velocity of Integrity to just 19 miles an hour.
Let's welcome in our team. from the stream center here. All right, Amanda Holly, did Zoom bring you back to us?
Here, I don't know if.
Right.
We got her.
Meteorologist Amanda Holly here with us as well. She's also the NASA correspondent for Next Star Nation.
Integrity, Houston.
Let's listen for a second.
With no joy on SAR and SAT phone, we'd like you to command an additional 15 minutes for a total of 30-minute power down delay.
Oh, okay. So interesting. So it's not a single button to turn off Orion. It's going to take a little bit longer to power down the spacecraft. Amanda, you want to take it from there?
Yeah, I'll talk a little bit about it. They're talking about safing the vehicle, right? There's a lot of, trying to make sure we didn't miss anything there. There's a lot of propellant still in the vehicle itself, right? So they want to make sure that those toxic fumes aren't radiating out as these boats are coming to the capsule. Also, it's been in space for a long time. We talk about the radiation affecting the astronauts. Well, the radiation kind of gets on those capsules as well. So they have to kind of safe the vehicle in that sense and make sure that it's safe for outside people to come close to the capsule. So those are the things that they're going to be working on here over probably the next hour or so.
As we have the first of the several, I'm sure, boats that are making their way and getting closer, of course, to Orion in the Pacific Ocean off the coast of San Diego, California. We'll pay attention closely to these images here. We're going to get you back to the NASA broadcast in just a second here. We're going to start to bring in questions from the chat, also comments from the chat. Whatever you want to say, just use Hey JB with no spaces in the chat on Facebook Live, TikTok Live, or YouTube Live. We're going to start to throw up some of your comments. Are you relieved? Was your heart beating out of your chest? Do you have a question for one of our team members here, one of our stream team members? Let us know, and we'll bring your comments quite literally on screen if you use hashtag HeyJB or just HeyJB, no spaces, in the social media chat. It's the only way we would bring in comments because we have so many people joining across multiple platforms, including a large audience of TikTok Live. Hello there to our TikTok audience, Facebook Live, YouTube Live as well. Let's get you back to the NASA broadcast. We'll be back in about 60 seconds with your comments.
To begin the power down.
To call you on the sat phone and not getting an answer there either.
Concur. We haven't had anything come through.
And Houston, if you could relay to recovery that we hear them, but it does not appear as though they are hearing us.
Houston copies, and Reed, just to confirm, you are pushing the PTT on the radio.
So as we continue to sort out the communications between Integrity and the recovery teams, we are standing by for the initiation of the power down procedures that, as you see, the recovery teams are moving towards the side of the capsule. The next major event will be the erection of that large inflatable raft called the front porch. That will be the port of call for the crew as they're being extracted one by one from the vehicle.
You see there in the picture the boats now.
Getting closer.
Integrity, Houston, for sat phone, we are going to attempt to call you.
When in doubt, a good old-fashioned phone call.
Do they get Verizon in the middle of the ocean?
And Jackie, yes. We are pushing the push-to-talk, the two buttons on the left side of the radio below the up-down arrows. We are utilizing them. I'm rebooting the radio to see if we get good comms.
Comms were smoother in space.
That's right.
That's what I was going to say.
And just to confirm, you are seeing that you're touchdown plus 3030 for power, correct?
That's affirmative.
This has to be so annoying for the astronauts in there, having any sort of issue that keeps you from getting out of the craft, right? Once you're actually here, it's gonna be like, dude.
Look at this shot of all the vessels, both in the air and on the water, circling Orion. The only comp I can think of, Josh, is you know when you land at the airport and you're stuck on the runway for a while.
Mission control
the only
here.
comp I've
Call
got.
the crew
Please
on
keep
their
your
satellite
seatbelts on.
This is all part of the coordination for the power down of the vehicle that will initiate the actual recovery operation. The first boats with the Navy divers on board are standing by, waiting to close in on Integrity to begin the process of erecting the large inflatable raft that's called the front porch that will be where the astronauts are extracted from so that they can have a few minutes to get their land legs back before they're hoisted aboard the Navy helicopters for the flight back to the deck of the USS John P. Murtha.
Let's bring in Amanda Holly to answer this question from Megan in the chat. I promised we would answer some questions out of the YouTube, TikTok, and Facebook Live chats. Hey, JB, how long will the astronauts have to wait until they can be reunited with their families? Will it be tonight, or is there a lot of press to do? We know that there's the press conference later on tonight. I believe it's 11:30 Eastern.
10:30.
10:30 Eastern. Getting time zones mixed up. Amanda, how long do they have to wait?
The astronauts will actually not be with the press probably for the next week or so. They are going to be doing a lot of health evaluations on the astronauts, and they want to make sure that they are in good shape to do that press. But they do have a press tour planned with at least 2 weeks from now that they are going to start obviously getting out and about and answering all of those questions. As for the reuniting with their families, they did talk about that in a press conference either the day yesterday or the day before. And I can't remember if it was tonight or early tomorrow. They are bringing them back to San Diego or Houston, I believe, tonight on the helicopters.
We'll continue to answer some more questions. Let's listen back into the broadcast. And hey, JB, in the comment section, if you'd like to ask a question to our team, or if you just want to voice some words of support for the Orion team, we'll throw them up here on screen. Here's a great one. Sheila, hey, JB, is it possible to see them live inside? If I had that shot on the touchscreen, believe me, I would hit it, but I don't know.
I believe we heard that they had the one malfunction that they had in the capsule after the communication blackout was I don't think they ever got that capsule shot back. I remember hearing them communicating that they had lost the camera view, but that they had still been able to hear, obviously, them over the comms. So my guess is that's why we have not seen them put that back up.
Yeah.
Checking.
Of course, everybody wants to see inside the cockpit.
Of course.
See the 4 astronauts as they are back home. We'll continue to monitor the chat. That's the whole point of the Stream Center and Hey JB, is to bring you guys into the conversation and see what people are saying out there.
This is Mission Control Houston. While we stand by for the establishment of communications between Integrity and the recovery team that is basically standing by very close to the spacecraft, we're going to go to the deck of the USS John P. Murtha, where Megan Cruz is standing by with Administrator Jared Isaacman.
I have a question for Amanda.
Were you scared?
Yes.
Me?
Hey Rob, yeah, just
That's
such an honor to
all
be
of
able
us.
to be
Were you scared,
here
Amanda?
on the ship, to be able to share and
Nerves,
experience this.
for sure.
Anxious is the word.
Yeah, I think the way that the officials put it is that they had irrational fears, and I thought that was a good way to describe it, right? Because they have the fears, but they know that they're irrational because they had so much trust in their team.
What's the pressure difference like at this point in the capsule versus outside of the capsule? And how do they adjust for that on reentry? It just randomly popped
Hold on,
into my
I'm sorry.
mind.
There's an interview taking place. Listen to this interview real quick.
Incredible moment right now. And yeah, incredibly grateful too for our teams here on the John P. Murtha right now.
Yeah, look at them behind us
We've
here.
got everybody. Hey, what do you guys think? We just brought some astronauts back from the moon, huh? Unbelievable. Thank you. Yeah,
That's
so grateful
NASA
to the
Administrator
Navy
Jared
sailors,
Isaacman talking right now.
That are here, the NASA teams. I mean, this is a joint effort that's on their way right now. These recovery forces are getting out to our Orion spacecraft, to Integrity, to get our astronauts back on the ship safely.
Yeah, and this is not just an accomplishment for NASA. This is an accomplishment for humanity. Again, a historic mission to the moon and back. How does this make you feel, and what do you hope people take away from this?
Well, I'll tell you, I think about the crew members that we've all had an opportunity to observe over the last 10 days, right? I mean, they're absolutely professional astronauts. I mean, wonderful communicators, almost poets. But then I think these were the ambassadors from humanity to the stars that we sent out there right now, and I can't imagine a better crew than the Artemis II crew that just completed a perfect mission right now. So yes, it's a huge moment for everybody, right? I mean, we are back in the business of sending astronauts to the moon, bringing them back safely, and to set up for a series more. I mean, this is not a once in a lifetime, which you hear sometimes around here. It's like, this was a once in a lifetime. No, it's not. This is just the beginning. We are going to get back into doing this with frequency, sending missions to the moon until we land on it in 2028 and start building our base.
Yeah, are we going to build on the momentum for Artemis III? I mean, it's just around the corner.
Absolutely. So I mean, that's part of me too. Like, I can't wait to get the crew off of Integrity right now, but also getting Integrity back on this ship so we can start taking a look at it, because all that data is so precious to us right now. I mean, we are going to definitely want to take a good look at the thermal protection system. We're going to want to download all the data they couldn't transmit back to us and use that to inform Artemis III. But we're already making progress, right? You had SRB segments already showing up at KSC. Core stage for Artemis III is rolling out on April 20th. We're getting Mobile Launcher 1 back in vehicle assembly building. So yes, there is a lot to celebrate right now on a mission well accomplished for Artemis 2, and at the same time, we got to start getting ready for 3.
Amazing. And last question, for people who joined us for all 10 days to see what we can accomplish together with our international partners, what do you think about the fact that we're going to keep doing this more and more and more?
It's incredibly exciting. I mean, yes, it's the contributions, like the best and brightest across the NASA workforce from across the country, our industry partners, our international partners. We had a Canadian Space Agency astronaut on board in Jeremy. We had the European Service Module. And you think, in the days leading up to this launch, I mean, 48 hours prior to launching Artemis II, I was meeting with the Italian Space Agency. We signed a memorandum of understanding to build a habitation module on the moon. I mean, you have countries, all of our allies and partners coming together saying, we are committed to this effort. We are returning to the moon. We're doing it to stay. We are building that enduring presence. We are going to master the skills on the surface of the moon so someday we can undertake missions to Mars. It's just an incredibly exciting time, and we're not going at it alone. We're bringing everybody along with us.
Absolutely. And speaking of everyone, one more time, we're going to ask the crew here, you guys ready to land on the moon? Awesome. I love that. Okay, well, thank you so much, Administrator. Appreciate you being here. We're, of course, going to stay on to watch the crew get extracted from Orion, so stay tuned, and we'll see you back here shortly.
There was a slight moment of hesitation there where you almost felt like, can we just eat some popcorn for a minute before we go to the moon? Can we just enjoy this moment for a second? But no, that was awesome to hear from NASA Administrator Jared Isaacman, excuse me.
Excited and relieved.
Yeah, the relief there is written all over his face, because we've seen him in press conferences quite a bit over the last week, really, I mean, several months, I mean, leading up to Artemis, Amanda. So read between the lines there for me. You've been listening to every press conference. What do you make of that from Administrator Isaacman?
Just the relief. I mean, you could tell by his body posture, by the way he's speaking, the laughing. He is relieved by this for sure, because even just in the past couple of days, he's been talking about the TPS, right? The thermal protection system. He's had several interviews, and he doesn't put it lightly. That has to work. That heat shield has to work, or this mission is not successful. Those astronauts don't come home. So this was a huge success in his eyes, and he's excited about the next steps. He just unveiled the new plan for NASA over the next 10 years. He added the Artemis III mission, and then to orbit the Earth, to dock with those lunar landers. And then, of course, he's talking about Artemis IV landing on the moon and building that moon base. Yeah,
and you heard it there from Administrator Isaacman about regarding, I mean, think about it this way, Amanda, and you know this because we talk about this in the Stream Center quite a bit. SpaceX has really captured a lot of the attention the last several years, a lot of the headlines. You'd almost feel a little bit of LL Cool J in that press conference, that interview there. Don't call it a comeback. We've been here for years. Like that's how this felt to me, in that NASA is now at the forefront of space exploration, and they have a pinnacle signature moment to build off of for Artemis III and really beyond.
the fact that this was a success is really going to, I think, propel and accelerate the momentum at NASA now for the next several years going into the rest of the Artemis program. I mean, just within the last month, 6 weeks or so, since he's unveiled this plan, there has been, I mean, a lot more engagement. Everyone there, from what I hear, is really excited now. They're excited about the new plan. And they're excited about moving forward. I feel like they have more of a concrete plan of what's happening, and things are actually moving forward. And especially with this mission being successful now, they can build on the science from this mission, take that, and really start running forward with it.
All right, let's listen back into the broadcast. Starting now, we're gonna pay attention to the comment section. They're scrolling in still. Hey JB on TikTok Live, Facebook Live, or YouTube Live. We'll bring your comments up here in about 60 seconds. Let's go back to the NASA Plus live broadcast and listen in.
Be extracted from the hatch of Orion into that inflatable raft before they're hoisted aboard 2 Navy helicopters in a variety of different configurations. Each crew member will be hoisted in sequential fashion, in alternating fashion, 2 crew members for each helicopter before they turn around to head back to the John P. Murtha. Once on the deck of the ship, they'll be brought into medical bay for comprehensive medical exams. But Reed Wiseman has reported several times that the crew is in excellent shape.
All right, let's get to some of the comments that have been coming in with Hey JB, no spaces, or hashtag Hey JB, no spaces in the comment section if you want to be added to the queue here in the Stream Center. So let's go to this. I'm seeing this one a lot, and it comes from this commenter. I don't know. It's got an emoji in it, so I can't say this person's name. Anyway, want to help me with that? What is that?
It's like LA?
It looks like a boat. Man, Gia. We're just going to go with Gia because I see the IA. Hey, JB, what health effects will they have after reentry? And this is easier to read. Jasmine, hey, JB, will there be any health conditions to deal with after coming back from space? Who wants to chime in here and answer about the health impacts?
I mean, just right away, they're dealing with gravity right now. They can't walk. They've been in zero gravity, right, for 9 days, 2 hours, however long it's been. And yes, it's going to take them several hours to get used to that gravity. We're used to seeing the astronauts being kind of carried off of the capsules from the Crew Dragons, and that's because they have to do it in stages, right? They just have to get used to it. They feel like they're concrete, and they probably can't even hold the weight of their body right now.
Yeah, that's got to be a bizarre feeling. Like
within a couple hours though, they're moving around for sure.
Yeah. I'm not sure what the exact health impacts that are going to be, obviously, on these astronauts going forward. But I think one of the things that's kind of tangentially related to that, and that's one of the most interesting things to me, is these what were they called? The health capsules, the organ chips, I think is what they were called.
Avatars.
The avatars, thank you, that were sent along with them. Basically, like bone marrow donations from the 4 astronauts were put on the vessel with them to go on this mission so that they would have these essentially sample sizes of what we can now study to see what does the radiation that you experience on a trip like this actually do to a human body. So while they're working to make sure that the 4, full-sized individuals who went on the trip are healthy and safe, and they are getting whatever treatment they might need, if any, to make sure that they are good to go, they have this kind of like time capsule sample that they're going to get to look at and see, hey, what does this look like for future missions? When Artemis 3 and eventually Artemis 4 happen, what are the actual health benefits or risks that are going to go on with this, and how can we combat them early? And I think that's probably the most interesting part of the entire mission, to me anyway, is these little avatars that they sent with them.
Well, even now.
Really quickly, Josh, I just have to, Mia was the name because the
it
bow
does
is
look
like
like
an
an
M.
Bow. I see it.
God,
It's clever.
Over the head. I'm sorry, Josh, take it away.
I'm not good at doing anything when I'm car sick, and I think we're missing we're missing the main thing happening right now. They've got to be so nauseous.
Okay. I am so glad that you brought this back up. The bobbing. I just keep thinking about them bobbing in this
the ocean. Yeah. Never mind the reentry and what they had to feel with the G-force and everything. All this while they're trying to troubleshoot shutting down the Orion and talking to the people in the boats on the outside. I mean, I have to put my phone away if I hit a speed bump the wrong way.
I mean, I get seasick on a boat that is made to be in the water. This is not necessarily made to, go out and enjoy your time in the ocean. So yeah, absolutely. That's just, I cannot imagine. And obviously what you have described, times that by like 1 million, because they're coming, as Amanda mentioned, from zero gravity. So now they're experiencing the return of gravity and its effects on their bodies, having to reorient themselves. We talked earlier in the stream, Amanda talked about how they didn't really know what was up or down earlier. Now, obviously, they very much do, and they're dealing with that and the rocking of the waves. It's just, I cannot imagine. I hope that they have, I don't want to be graphic about it, but I hope they have some bags in there in case anybody gets a little seasick. I'm just, ugh.
Well, Amanda, your perspective is unique. I'm going to say what you won't, because you and your husband Wayne are always on the water here in Tampa Bay, but also at the same time, you flew with the Blue Angels. So you know about pulling how many G's on that particular flight?
So I pulled 7.5 G's on the flight, but it's funny. Wow. Yes, I passed out. I threw up. But I threw up, ironically enough, in the 0G position. They were able to, maneuver the aircraft in a way that I was weightless. So I felt what the astronauts have been feeling for the last 9 days. And that is when I got nauseous. So I don't know. But yeah, the bobbing it's got to be rough after feeling, nothing for 9 days and 2 hours.
I also wonder if, I know this sounds like a small thing, but it's got to be significant if they have any form of climate control in there. Like, is it, do they have an air-conditioned cabin? Like, are they, is it hot in there? I mean, they just experienced, temperatures that most people on this planet will never even come close to enduring, of course, clearly outside of Orion, not inside. But I'm just curious, are they hot in there? Is there circulation? Are they... I mean,
it has to be climate controlled if you're going into space, all right? So,
right.
Yeah.
I mean, are they able to come, all right, no, I want it actually at 68 in here. And
well, they can, but they have to tell Houston that, and then Houston adjusts it. It's funny because at the first couple of days of the mission, they had the temperature in the capsule a little cooler, and all the astronauts were cold, and they were able to bring it back up a little bit. So they definitely have climate control.
So you're telling me that Houston can remote access and control to a precise degree the climate inside of a capsule that is on its way or circling the moon, and I can't get my thermostat to be exactly where I want it at home? Come on. That's insane.
That's pretty
wild.
There
are perks to being an astronaut for NASA.
Let's get to Evie and our very popular question in the chat right now. How long will it take for them to get to the main boat? What's the timeline expected?
I believe we do know that the ship, or NASA was expecting the astronauts to be in the ship's medical bay within 2 hours of splashdown. We are, coming up on about half an hour or so, a little over half an hour at this point. So they expect, according to NASA experts, they're expecting to have these astronauts in the ship's medical bay within the next hour and a half, roughly.
All right. So
I do wonder if that is delayed though because of the radio communication issue that they're having, and they delayed that shutdown 30 minutes.
We anticipate this going on, of course, on its own schedule. Obviously, that goes without saying. What we're going to do now, speaking of schedule, we're going to get back to the NASA broadcast and listen in. Clearly, with some of these comments, what you have seen is that people are watching from quite literally around the world. Social media is great in that way, in that we can reach people, we can reach a global audience. So TikTok, YouTube Live, Facebook Live, these are platforms where we're reaching an international audience. As we return you to the NASA Plus live broadcast, we'll listen in for a few more minutes. Let us know in the chat where you are watching from. We're going to scroll as many comments on screen during this portion of the live stream. We'll be back to answer some questions here in just a minute. And we have activated audio once again. There's just no audio right now on the NASA Plus feed. So when they do return to speaking over the comms, you'll hear it here, but we just brought audio back up, and the audio is right now at radio silence. But here we have one of the boats getting as close as we've gotten to the Orion capsule, carrying the 4 astronauts, feeling every wave, I'm sure. We'll continue to listen in, and let's spotlight some of the comments that are coming in where people are watching from. I'll read a few of these out, and what we'll do, Carrie, when they actually do come in on the broadcast, we'll of course lower our microphones. Carrie is watching from London. Very cool. Rah Rah Lover. I love the usernames, you guys. The usernames are great on TikTok because you just never know what you're going to get. Watching from Baltimore, Maryland. Very cool. Lacey's watching from Ireland. Ray is watching from Colorado. Oh my goodness, I'm going to try to say this name. Ruari is watching from Scotland. We've got Gracie is watching from Illinois. On YouTube Live, we've got Hauska watching from the Czech Republic. Will says, from the UK, half American, half British. I'm a bit of both. And then emoji flags for each country as well. Maya's watching from Raleigh, North Carolina. Very cool. Again, the NASA broadcast is up. We're just waiting for them to come in once again over the comms as we watch here the boat get closer.
What's happening? They're approaching.
Yeah, so this approach is going to be fascinating. It sounds like they're trying to latch on. That's what it appears is going on here. Let's see. Ampo is watching from Alabama. Roll Tide.
This is Mission Control Houston. Once again, you're watching the initiation of the recovery of the Artemis crew aboard Integrity. All of the Navy divers and the fast boats are now approaching the spacecraft after conducting a hazard assessment. The vehicle has been powered down. Entry Flight Director Rick Henfling now waiting for the life raft, the front porch, to be erected along the side of the vehicle so that the hatch can be opened and the crew members extracted from Integrity, soon to be hoisted one by one into a pair of Navy helicopters for a short flight back to the deck of the USS John P. Murtha. If you missed it earlier, we talked to Flight Dynamics and received a more official touchdown time or splashdown time, as it were, of 7:07 and 27 seconds p.m. Central Time, 5:07 and 27 seconds p.m. Pacific Time. That would equate to a mission elapsed time of 9 days, 1 hour, 32 minutes, and 15 seconds.
So it was even closer to their expected time than we originally thought.
Unbelievable.
Nuts.
They mentioned the front porch a second ago, which I think is another really fascinating part of this. It's basically just a giant inflatable raft that the Navy divers are going to kind of deploy, and they're going to basically just push it right up against the capsule. The capsule will open, the 4 astronauts will step out onto the raft, and then they're going to basically drag the raft about 100 yards away from Orion so that the 4 astronauts can be airlifted by helicopter 2 at a time to make their way back to the ship. We talked about how these astronauts are going to be a little disoriented. Can you imagine the first thing you do as far as standing back up once you reach Earth is to step on an inflatable raft in the middle of the ocean? That's
how disorienting.
That's not easy to do when you're used to gravity, much less had a couple of days outside of it. That's crazy.
Not exactly firm ground.
No, probably the opposite of that.
As astronauts, you would imagine that they are ready for just about anything. Mm-hmm. But I'm sure that a couch sounds pretty good right about now. You know, to watch some baseball.
Land?
Land. Just land in general. Let's just call it land. My goodness. The amount of countries that we are seeing, from Greece to Poland to the Philippines to Israel to Ireland. Again, we're just shouting out some of our commenters to show you that this is truly a global event. And the amount of people that are watching from beyond the United States, but also, too, people that are watching from stateside, watching from Virginia, says Megan Williams, joining us on YouTube Live. But then we can go to TikTok Live and say that, this is also YouTube Live. This is watching from PA, says Titus. And then small town Texas girl, you know where she's watching from. She's watching from Texas, Florence, Texas, to be precise. So we'll continue to throw some up here on screen. We have the NASA broadcast up full blast, audio-wise, as we're looking here live at the retrieval mission as it is taking place. These views are spectacular, by the way. Being able to have these choppers in the air to provide video coverage.
Water is pretty calm. I know they're rocking a little bit, but that is some calm water.
Amanda, if you're unmuted, chime in here, because could the weather have been any more ideal for this? This looked to be perfect weather conditions.
Yeah, I mean, it really, really is. You don't want anything more than this, right? Because as we've been talking about, that bobbing is not great for those astronauts. So as
Amanda, feel free to continue. Oh.
earlier they talked about the seas being about 4 feet, but it's 4 feet over a long period. So that's helpful for these astronauts, right? There's a little bit of bobbing going on. There's a big swell of 4 feet here, but fun to see the smoke in the background. That just kind of gives an idea, make sure everyone knows exactly where everything's at and keeps an eye on things. I don't envy those camera views either, because they're really far away.
Some 41 minutes following splashdown, the vehicle has been powered down. There's no hazardous gas emanating from the vehicle. That's why the first team of recovery personnel has been able to pull alongside Integrity. And the reports continue to come in that the 4 astronauts are in excellent shape.
First humans to touch the craft that visited the moon. We just saw right there, that recovery team. Well, first humans that aren't in the craft, I should say.
I got some Epiphany vibes for anybody who knows in Tampa Bay.
Yes.
As we hear some of the communication back and forth, let's continue to spotlight. We'll transition here shortly from where everyone's watching from to some of the questions and comments and feedback and your thoughts and what you thought of the Artemis II mission, resulting in what appears to be it's not very often you hear NASA use the word perfect. And it was multiple times, Amanda, where you heard the word perfect. I'm sure in the press conference later tonight, we'll hear, some of the things that they monitored that, perhaps wasn't a, glowing 10 out of 10. But, from the surface level, watching from our vantage point, it couldn't have gone much better.
I agree. They have everything nailed down to the second for a reason. All of that is in their mathematical calculations to getting to the moon and coming back. And very impressive to see everything kind of evolve that way as well. Also, just want to say hey to everyone joining us from around the world, because that is so cool. This truly was, you heard the administrator say a few minutes ago that this was a return to the moon for humanity, not just America. And I think that it's really fun to see the entire world watching this mission.
Continuing to watch the initiation of the recovery of Integrity's astronauts. One by one, they'll be brought out of the spacecraft onto a large inflatable raft just a short time from now. In the meantime, we can go back to the USS John P. Murtha, where my colleague Megan Cruz is standing by to provide her situation report. Megan, can you hear us?
Hey, Rob. Yes, I can hear you. Thank you. Yeah, we're back here on the bow of the recovery ship where there are still plenty of people peering out into the water. We are not very far from the action everyone is seeing on their screen now. The Orion spacecraft, Integrity, in the ocean, surrounded by a number of recovery boats. As Rob has been saying, in those recovery boats, NASA and Navy personnel specifically trained to get the astronauts out of Orion. In some of our wide shots, you can probably see that there are 6 boats out in the water. More than 40 people out in the water right now on those boats.
Let's bring in Amanda, Josh, Garrett, myself for this question, because I was wondering the same thing. Why so many recovery boats? Clearly, this is, okay, so this is, let's put away the comment here because we're going to want as much screen real estate as possible. This is a major moment as the first boat now gets their hands on a vessel that just was, I mean, a few days ago in making basically a lap around the moon. Imagine being the first person to touch Orion, knowing that that was the vessel that just made it back from a lap around the moon. So we'll watch here very, very closely. But feel free to our 3 guests here, 2 in the Stream Center, 1 at home, Amanda Holly. Yeah, a lot of boats in the water.
I'm curious. I wonder if it'll be, maybe Amanda, you could speak to this a little bit more, but I wonder if, first person out gets in this boat, next boat comes up, or if a boat will come to the side of it.
It's going to
they talked earlier about, the divers that were on scene, the Navy medical officer that's going to be able to check them out. I'm sure all of these personnel have a very specific job, which is pretty cool, and they all have to be there. And, they have to plan for contingencies, right? In case something is not nominal, not perfect in this case. And so they have to be ready for those scenarios as well.
Yeah, they talked earlier also about that front porch that basically, I don't want to call it giant. I don't really know how large it is, but obviously large enough to fit at least 4, adults onto it. But a lot of those boats, or at least some of those boats, are going to be assisting in.
And that, not to interrupt you, is
there
that
it
a
is.
glimmer or is that open?
That appears to be an open hatch.
Wow. Earth air. They are now breathing Earth air once again.
Which does smell better than that cabin air.
I would imagine. Let's listen into the broadcast.
Side hatch of Integrity is open. You're getting these beautiful shots from our aerial assets. Where I'm on just 3,000 yards away. Again, plenty of people on the boat here, glued to the side closest to where they can see all this action. And again, with just 3,000 yards separating us, great views from the bow here. You can see now that side hatch is open. One of the Navy personnel is about to get inside there. In they go. In total, 4 will go into Orion. So it'll be a little bit of a tight squeeze, but the goal is to have a recovery personnel with each astronaut assessing them. boats getting closer now. Again, that one that's right up against Orion, those are the divers that will go in to the spacecraft to check on each of the astronauts. These other boats will begin doing a number of things, putting on that stabilization collar onto Orion, building that front porch. Eventually, they will retrieve the parachutes, as well as tow Orion back to the well deck of the recovery ship here. And so as we wait for the Navy and NASA personnel to get their assessment of the crew inside of Orion, why don't we toss it back to Rob for an update?
Yeah, thank you, Megan. Here in Mission Control, Flight Director Rick Henfling and the entry team of flight controllers still on duty. The vehicle has been powered down for some time now. There are no hazardous gases emanating from Integrity. That, of course, allowed the recovery personnel to approach the vehicle and then open the hatch to begin the initial medical assessment of the crew, as you just indicated. Now we're standing by for the erection of that inflatable raft, the front porch, alongside of the vehicle that will enable the crew to be extracted one by one onto the raft, have a moment or two to get their land legs back before they're hoisted into two hovering Navy helicopters, 2 crew members for each helicopter, for a short flight back to the deck of the USS John P. Murtha. All of Integrity's systems operated flawlessly throughout the course of the approach to the Earth, the entry into the Earth's atmosphere, and all of the key milestones that followed in this high-speed return to Earth for Integrity, a mission that spanned more than 694,000 miles from the vehicle's launch from the Kennedy Space Center atop the Space Launch System back on April 1st.
Let's bring back up some audio here as we are just in this is joyous. We're in here, Amanda. I wish you were. I know you're in the
She's probably happy.
confines. Yeah, you're home. You're probably happy to be home, but we're here at work. But this is we're just so elated that NASA's back. I mean, let's just make that we're back. America's back.
As we mentioned,
NASA's back.
Top of the broadcast, the last time that the Apollo program saw a splashdown in the Pacific was Apollo 17 back on December 19th, 1972. So for the first time in 53 and a half years, we have reenacted that with the arrival of Integrity's astronauts as they flew around the moon in that historic lunar flyby that began with a trans-lunar injection burn that took them out of Earth orbit following 24 hours of a high Earth orbit trajectory. The high Earth orbit trajectory enabled flight controllers here to have a full 24 hours to evaluate the systems on Integrity and the condition of the crew before they would commit to flying to the moon.
In other words, we're back.
We're back.
Yeah. That was perfectly timed, JB. Also, we are watching right now what looks like the platform that they've been talking about being like
front
spread
porch.
out. The front porch.
On the note of NASA being back, there's a couple things that have happened. Russia in the last few days committing to wanting to have themselves a moon base, and China obviously wanting to get astronauts there. Another space race.
Yeah, we're on the verge of that.
If we're truly knocking on that door, I could not be more excited to see what comes from it.
And you know what's fascinating is that if we are on the verge of another space race, we have it both not just from the public sector, but also SpaceX's involvement and the private sector is going to be a fascinating wrinkle.
Amanda, I'm seeing your facial reactions here.
Yeah, we have to react to what's happening right now. That poor swimmer is fighting that current for his life or her life.
I didn't even see that.
It's clearly a strong current that they are swimming to, and you got to get that to the capsule. So hopefully somebody gives them a hand out there.
Here we are talking about the space race, and someone out there is really, really struggling with the current. It looks very calm out there, but I'm sure it isn't, Amanda.
Well, it can be calm, but you can still have like a strong current sweeping you away. So I think that's probably what's happening there. Looks like they're getting some help, so I'm happy about that. Space race, yes, let's talk about that.
Amanda's reaction was so funny. I thought it was in the space race.
No, Amanda's actually worried about people while we're over here talking about something else.
She's in the present.
Listen, we're getting some great views of it. I had to react to it. We need the private sector's involvement to be able to land on the moon. So the capsule that you're looking at on your screen right now, that's not going to land on the moon. That's going to keep them in the moon's orbit. That has to dock to a lunar lander that SpaceX and Blue Origin are currently building right now. So we need the private sector's involvement with this.
And that's what they're going to test with the Artemis II mission in Earth's orbit.
Yeah, so hopefully both lunar landers, SpaceX and Blue Origin's lander, will be ready to test them, because that's their ultimate goal next year, is to test both of them on one mission, have both of them in low Earth orbit, close to Earth, and land and dock with both of them.
Go ahead.
Is there a feeling to either of those companies who might be ahead on the lander, or is it really, we don't know until we see it happen?
I mean, I think I'm sure there's a race between them both, right? They want to be first. They want to do it right the first time, and they want to be able to use them. Because I don't know if NASA has to ultimately choose one or not, or if they'll use both of them.
A space race within a space race. Competition is always going to bring out the very best in all of these dev teams, all these development teams.
Yes, and it brings costs down.
Right,
and that's why NASA has started
with
to
the
involve
hatch of Orion having been opened to set the stage for the erection of the inflatable life raft, known as the front porch, to be erected alongside the spacecraft for the extraction of the crew. Let's play for you an interview that my colleague Megan Cruz conducted on the USS John P. Murtha with Navy diver First Class David McMahon that explains how this process is unfolding.
Back in just a moment.
Okay, Davey, so you and some of your team, one last look over of the stabilization collar, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so what is this stabilization collar?
This is what's going to stabilize the capsule out there in the ocean. We don't know how good the weather or the waves will be that day, so this will help prevent any unnecessary occurrences from happening, stabilizing the capsule and the astronauts inside.
So basically this is a float that will go around Orion. I'm assuming that what they're doing right now, these are the lines that will attach the collar onto Orion?
That is correct.
And so what are they doing here?
So we've got the lower line that will secure the inflation device before we inflate it. That gives us the go-ahead that it's secure in space, and then we'll inflate it. And then once that is done, we'll undo all the carabiners and get this orange line on top tied in the same fashion. And then this will be secured to the capsule, and the astronauts can safely take their first steps out of the capsule onto the front porch.
Okay, and how long will it take them to set up the stabilization collar?
We should definitely be able to handle this in under 10 minutes.
Okay, wow. And then you just mentioned the front porch. So basically after they set up this stabilization collar, then they set up what's called the front porch here.
That's correct.
Okay, and what's the front porch?
Front porch is basically a bigger waiting room for the astronauts to sit in while we wait for the helicopters to show up and grab them.
Okay, so the medical team that was inside with the crew, they're going to help them out and onto the front porch?
That is correct.
And then what happens here?
We have higher trained medical personnel also on board the front porch that will give them lookovers and just make sure they're okay while we wait for the helicopters to show up.
Okay. How does it feel, I mean, your team, you, to be part of a mission that's returning astronauts from the moon in more than 50 years?
We all feel extremely honored to be a part of this, as well as a bigger mission for the Navy and joining up with NASA to do great things.
Mm-hmm. And do you feel like you and your team are ready?
Yes, very ready.
Cool. All right, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Once again, the recovery operations are continuing out in the Pacific. We shortly should see that life raft, the front porch, erected alongside the side hatch of the vehicle.
So we heard some applause there before the broadcast cut out.
You can see movement right there in that open hatch of the first astronauts too.
A number of flight controllers have come into the flight control room to receive congratulations from entry flight director Rick Henfling. But we're going to stick with our operations out in the Pacific as we await the extraction of the 4 crew members who are reported to be in excellent condition.
So for those of you just joining us, I'm sure a lot of folks have been watching for quite a while. JB Buno, Garrett Phillips, Josh Scott, Amanda Holly here with you on stream on Hey JB from the Stream Center in Tampa, Florida. This
again, while we stand by for that front porch to be erected alongside of the side hatch of the vehicle, let's go back to the USS John P. Murtha and Megan Cruz. Megan?
Hey, Rob. Pausing now to listen to some internal audio loops. Again, the operations team here on the ship communicating with everyone out on the water. It seems like currents are hindering them a little bit from unfurling and inflating the stabilization collar as well as the front porch. But again, the requirement to get the crew out within 2 hours of splashdown, plenty of time. So no concerns just yet. But as calm as the water looks, yeah, it looks like it's hindering the teams just a tad.
So again, for those of you just joining us, we are waiting for the signature moment. This is a photograph that will, or a series of photographs that, do they have textbooks anymore? I just remember being in high school and learning more and more about space exploration and seeing the iconic photographs of astronauts emerging when they return back to planet Earth. And we're moments away from the next signature moment that I'm sure will live on really the internet for really indefinitely. So that's going to be a signature iconic moment, a historic moment. We're waiting for the front porch to be inflated, and then we'll see the 4 astronauts, Wiseman, Glover, Cope, and Hansen, as they emerge victorious from the Artemis II mission.
695,000-mile journey around the moon. If you think you get carsick.
Hey, they're making jokes like we are. Hey, NASA can make jokes. Look at that.
Again, 6 boats out there. Lots of gear with them, just in case, right? As we said, the crew reported feeling great. But again, all those folks out there in case they weren't, right? NASA is all about making sure we think about every situation that can happen. And so, of course, wanted to be ready in case any of our astronauts needed more medical attention while out there in the water. You see now teams, again, trying to set up the stabilization collar and front porch for the crew to get out of Orion. They need both, right? The stabilization collar will keep Orion from swaying as you see it is doing now. and then they will connect to the front porch to the stabilization collar so that the crew can take 2 steps and they will be in the front porch.
We'll be paying close attention to the chat. You can throw Hey JB in the chat, and we'll throw some comments on screen.
Loops, that's a good thing. Again, things proceeding pretty nominally, even if they're fighting some currents out there.
You can see them wrapping it around.
Mm-hmm.
Again, the goal, setting up the stabilization collar and the front porch so that the crew can rest comfortably in the front porch, get placed into harnesses so that 2 helicopters can lift them off the front porch and onto the USS John Murtha here. The helicopters are going to take turns picking up an astronaut. So again, Helo 1 and Helo 2.
Looks like they're now really making progress here.
I'm sure the astronauts inside are ready for this collar to go up, because then they'll stop rocking so much.
Okay. And the recovery team here on the ship just got a report from the undersea medical officer who is inside the capsule with the crew. He is reporting all 4 members are green. All of our 4 astronauts, Reed, Victor, Christina, Jeremy, green, meaning they are feeling great, not the complexion of their skin. They are feeling great, happy to be home, and ready to be extracted as soon as possible.
I mean,
so
there's your joke, Garrett.
Trying to resist
as I
here.
was saying, we have 2 helicopters circling the activity you're seeing on the water right now.
There's the
Each
collar.
will take turns picking up an astronaut. So Helo 1 will come on in, hover above the front porch, about 40 feet above the front porch. A Navy recovery specialist will be hoisted down into the front porch.
The restricted maneuvering doctrine is in effect.
We'll connect to the first astronaut, which we're expecting to be Christina. And then Helo 2 comes around, picks up Jeremy, while Helo 1 stays above head. And then Helo 1 will come back in for another astronaut, and then Helo 2 for the last astronaut, and then back to the flight deck here on the recovery ship. I was talking to Assistant Artemis Recovery Director Paul Sierpinski. He said helos are a much quicker, safer way to get on board. They did actually consider boats, but then if you think about it, longer time, the crew would have to move through more of the ship. This way the helos will give a more direct, quicker route to the medical bay for our 4 astronauts. Beautiful shots from our aerial and imagery teams. Clouds have dissipated for a clear view from the bow of the recovery ship here.
just a quick note on that. Being in the news business, from a visual standpoint, a visual storytelling standpoint, NASA doing an extraordinary job providing us with these camera angles. Clearly, this was an enormous effort. Somebody asked in the chat earlier, how many cameras do they have pointed at Orion right now? I really don't know, but
see divers in the water
extremely
there.
impressive.
I want to ask Amanda,
Orion, that is that stabilization collar we've been telling you about.
if you can hear me, we've
Yeah.
heard they talked about
As you saw
a
in that interview, just
medical officer who was, I guess, an underwater medical, I would assume a Navy medical officer who was a diver, perhaps, that is supposedly in the capsule with them, gave those 4 astronauts the green mark or whatever you want to call it, the saying that they are all good to go. Is that because, did they have like a hatch underneath this capsule? Do you know if they had a hatch underneath that the diver could get in through? Is that what they did? Or how did they get in that capsule?
Yeah, no, there's nothing underneath them for sure, because that's the heat shield, right? So nothing through that is permeable. They did say undersea diver, that kind of perked my interest as well. I'm not really sure why. I do know that, medical officers and like divers, and when you're dealing with like differences in cabin pressure and like undersea pressure, all of that is really important. But I don't think these astronauts experienced any differences in pressure too much. So I don't know. It's a good question.
Look, it appears that's inflating now.
It looks like it.
Yeah.
Let's listen in.
And if you missed what we said just a couple of minutes ago, the undersea medical officer inside with the crew in Orion reporting all 4 crew members feeling great. Progress being made there on the stabilization collar. It looks like they are beginning to inflate it. And it looks like they're starting to unfold the front porch in order to get that into the water here shortly and inflate that as well. Again, more than 40 people out in the water right now. And those Navy and NASA personnel have been in the water for now about 4 hours. The
Look at the
reason why
lights.
they had to get out so early is just to stage everything.
Mm-hmm.
And actually here on the ship, when there are flight operations happening, you can't have anything else, right? Just because the flight deck can be a dangerous place, so they just want to focus on planes coming and going from the ship, so that's why they wanted to get the boats in the water to make sure that they have all the time they needed for the flight ops. And then the same crew here out in the water, they will stay out in the water for a number of hours after we recover the crew and get them back on the ship, because then they have to recover Orion. All right, that stabilization collar looking good around Orion. We're now seeing some recovery personnel getting on to that collar. Again, they need to further attach it to Orion to make sure that it can really prop up the spacecraft. It's basically lifting it up off of the water just a tad. Again, so it's not so so it doesn't sway so much in the water there. And now that front porch looks like it's nearly fully inflated as well. You can see a much larger surface area. And so once the crew get out of Orion, they can stretch their legs a little bit on this front porch, get some fresh air. And enjoy this beautiful day here on their home planet. It appears teams now are about to connect the front porch to the stabilization collar. And at that point, when both are secure, we should soon see astronauts come out of Orion.
I gotta say, this is like a pretty cool process to watch, right? You gotta think like this is like years of work for so many different teams and so many different people, and this is like a very intricate design that someone came up with, and it's kind of cool.
It's fascinating, Amanda. I'm sitting here just kind of in silence, just watching it, because it's clearly it's a tango that is highly orchestrated.
Also being fed to the landing force operations center here on the ship.
And
of course, it is very important for our recovery teams.
The visuals that we now have the ability to have with today's
to have all the
technology.
views that you're seeing as well.
Like she just said as well.
Again, listening to their communication loop here on the ship.
For a second, I thought she was saying she was in
Good
knots.
Yeah.
It means things are going pretty nominally, meaning as expected.
Pretty phenomenally, if you ask me.
Nominally, phenomenally, yeah. Extraordinary.
I wonder how it's going to feel for them to look at the moon tonight.
Mm-hmm. My 2-year-old was looking up the moon this morning, and he was pointing at it.
Activity happening just 3,000 yards away from the ship, so that means this will be a very quick flight back on the helicopters for the crew.
And it just hit different, is what I was going to say. It means something different now.
I mean, if y'all haven't figured out, I'm like a nerd at this point of like, at like space. I remember vividly like growing up and talking to my mom about the moon and saying, it looks dirty. Someone needs to go up there and clean it. Obviously, now I know that, it's the craters and the dust and all the things. But that was like a vivid memory for me as a kid.
We're getting close to everybody to the signature moment. Let's send things over to the NASA Plus broadcast, listen in to the broadcast, we'll put down the banner as well, and listen in live.
We'll get into in order to be hoisted into the helicopters. Again, those helicopters hovering just about 40 feet above the front porch when they're ready to pick up each crew member.
This is Mission Control Houston. Behind me, a fairly raucous scene as hundreds of flight controllers have poured into the flight control room here. This is reminiscent of the scene after the final shuttle mission of STS-135, although that was the end of a program. This is only the beginning of a program with the textbook splashdown of Integrity and its 4 astronauts. We're standing by for the crew to be extracted from the spacecraft. Entry Flight Director Rick Henfling invited all of these flight controllers who have contributed to this mission to enter the flight control room to have an opportunity to receive well wishes and to share the mutual glow that exists in the wake of a textbook mission for Integrity. On the front screen here in Mission Control, a sign that says "Welcome home, Integrity, taking humanity back to the moon, going further, and returning safely to Earth." So all of that jubilation, part of the post-splashdown activities, even as we await the crew being extracted from the vehicle to be hoisted onto Navy helicopters for the trip back to the USS John P. Murtha.
I was going to say, I want to see the crowd inside the flight control room. I want to see the, well, hopefully they'll probably show it at some point here on the NASA Plus broadcast, but waiting for, I think Christina Cook will be the first to emerge.
I believe she's the first to be airlifted up. I'm not sure she'll be the first to emerge, but
okay.
she will be the first, I think, taken in the helicopter.
Gotcha. So, actually, do we know who's going to be the first to emerge?
Well, I would assume it.
Wiseman?
Well, yeah, I just assume if you're the first person to get, lifted on one of the 2 helicopters that they have for it.
Yes. I mean, it could end up being her. I just know that I believe that was what they were referencing as the helicopter.
Here in Mission Control,
there you go. Look at that.
Artemis Flight Control Room, known as the White Flight Control Room. This is the old shuttle flight control room, and now is the home of Artemis missions to the moon and beyond. Once again,
think they heard us?
I think they are listening to our feed.
By Entry Flight Director Rick Henfling to share in the jubilation following the successful splashdown of Integrity. That splashdown occurring an hour and 22 minutes ago, as we stand by for the completion of the extraction of the crew, and ultimately they're hoisting onto Navy helicopters for a short flight back to the USS John P. Murtha.
The energy in that room has got to be exceptional.
7:07 and 27 seconds p.m. Central Time. I had an opportunity to talk to the head of flight dynamics, Jeff Birch, a moment or 2 ago. He said the trajectory of Integrity coming through the Earth's atmosphere was so precise they've never seen anything line up on a ground track like today's entry by Integrity for its splashdown southwest of San Diego.
Wow.
Now they're just showing off. I mean, let's
unbelievable how precise this was. I think they're astonished. You can almost get the sense that it went so well that they're still wrapping their brains around it.
And the initial, you can hear it.
There it is.
There she is. There they are.
Jubilation here in the flight control room. The first crew member is out of Integrity.
It was a perfectly cinematic shot with the lens flare there, too. It was just great to watch.
NASA is back. NASA's back.
I'm so excited for what's to come.
The moon, Mars, and
We are
beyond.
expecting the other crew members momentarily to be extracted.
There's the second.
Taking in the view from that side of the ocean.
We now have 2 crew members out.
Looks like Victor.
the photos that are going to be on your
Two
various
crew members out, 2 to go.
news feeds tonight. The close-up shots of them, because we obviously are on long lens cameras here, but we'll have close-up shots. Clearly they have folks from either NASA or the U.S. Navy or both documenting this moment in history. So those moments will be released in the form of photographs. Can't wait to see them.
We're about 1 hour from sunset out in the Pacific. Everything continues to go well. Integrity's systems function perfectly during its entry back to Earth. And Reed Wiseman, the commander who will be last out of the vehicle, reported that all the crew members were feeling very well.
I wonder, they have so many, personnel on that front porch that are helping them out of that capsule. I wonder how many of them are there just to help stabilize these people as they are taking kind of their first steps that they have taken in, 9 days now?
3 now out. And now standing by for the commander, Reed Wiseman, who will be last out of his ship. Bobbing in the Pacific under almost ideal conditions, Integrity spanned 694,000 miles during its journey from launch to splashdown.
Looking at this operation, you definitely wouldn't want it any rougher.
No, you would not.
Can you imagine?
We talked about how calm the sea looked, but now that you're seeing them, all kind of waving back and forth.
It's gotten a little rougher too, though.
Yeah,
it does.
They've been out there a little while.
We're also coming across, I'm sure we're getting close to sunset. Can someone check for us?
He said about, I want to say he said an hour and a half an hour?
Yeah, they're going to lose light here pretty fast.
Yeah, they mentioned that on the
7:15 p.m. is sunset in San Diego.
So a little less than an hour, about 45 minutes or 40 minutes.
All 4 crew members now out of Integrity.
But they are all out.
And there you have it.
Once again, all 4 crew members now on the front porch, and the procedure to begin hoisting them up to these 2 Navy helicopters hovering overhead will begin shortly.
And with that, back here in the Stream Center, Josh Scott, Amanda Holly, Garrett Phillips, working hard there in the bottom right. This has been a historic moment. Artemis II, so much to learn, so much to understand, so many stories from the astronauts, I'm sure, that we are going to learn about in the days and weeks to come. You heard the NASA administrator earlier, Isaacman, say that there's so much data to process, what we are going to learn as we carry this forward into Artemis III next year. Final thoughts from everybody here as we wrap up our live stream. Josh, Garrett, would you like to start here?
Well, first off, happy birthday, Grandma. Hopefully this was a good birthday gift, seeing these astronauts come back home safely. Listen, just a couple of things here. The amount of technology that we got out of the space race that impacts our daily lives, the fact that we have very small computers in our pockets that can do more than the computers on the Apollo mission is not something to ignore. We are on the precipice of more greatness as stuff like this continues to be pushed forward, and we should be very excited about the future of NASA and the future of humanity as well. That's it for me.
Let's hear from Garrett Phillips.
How do you follow that up? I mean, listen, don't put me on the spot like that. This was awesome to watch. Obviously, Josh is incredibly passionate about it, and so now I feel like I'm sandwiched between Josh and Amanda. You're sandwiching me between these two people? Come on. That was a setup. But
the floor is yours.
This was really cool to watch, obviously, and as Josh said, hopefully that this leads to another decade or more of both technological advancements for us here terrestrially, but also, of course, for advancements in space travel and eventually, maybe perhaps, colonization. That's just a really cool idea to think about. And now please throw it to Amanda so I don't feel as embarrassed.
I'm just going to say, I'm just so excited. This has been so fun to watch over the past 10 days. Obviously, it was amazing to watch these 4 astronauts leave planet Earth and then circle the moon. We've gotten some amazing images. And then to obviously see them safely return home was wonderful, a wonderful end to the mission, right? But I mean, the inspiration that hopefully, is happening right now in the next generation of astronauts that they're going to be growing up. And then maybe, the younger folks, those are going to be you guys at home right now watching are going to be the ones colonizing Mars. Who knows what we're going to see in the next 10 years? Just think about all of the things that we've seen in the past 10 to 20 years happen. And this is a really cool moment. I am so excited to see what we do with, Artemis 4, especially landing on the moon. I think it's been really cool to watch these astronauts be like, yeah, this is awesome. But I'm way more excited for, someone to break this record that we just broke. It's not about us. It's about what's to come. And I think that's a great message to end on with Artemis 2.
And to follow that up with Amanda, to reference something that Amanda talked about earlier, seeing all the commenters on this live stream, I think it was somewhere in the neighborhood of 24 countries just watching our live stream on TikTok, YouTube, and Facebook Live. It's extraordinary. This is a global event. You could go the sappy route and say this is for all mankind. I'm just going to take a backseat and just say this is so bleeping cool. It doesn't get much greater than this. We have exciting times ahead. The moon and then Mars behind it. We're going to do things that our grandparents, great-grandparents, great-great-grandparents never even dreamed possible. It's an exciting time to be here in the United States. It's an exciting time to be here on planet Earth. To everybody in the chat, thank you guys for joining us for this moment in history. And really a special thank you to Amanda joining us from home. It was originally like a 20-minute hit that turned into like a 2-hour hit.
She refused to get off. I mean, she would never leave the Zoom chat.
Carried the show.
Tell Wayne we say thank you, Amanda, for
I was not missing this stream. So wherever I was at in the world, I was going to be on it.
Well, this is an opportunity for us to say thank you to everybody watching on whatever platform you're watching on. If you like our presentation style, if you like the interactive work that we did by bringing in our commenters, showing off different camera feeds, being able to hit the touchscreen here and show you a little bit inside the stream center, all we ask is that you click on a button to follow us for more live streams like this one, whether you're on TikTok or Facebook Live or on YouTube Live. We might be in a lot of other places. Just clicking on a various button to follow us shows that you want more of this content. We hope to do more NASA content, SpaceX content, space just exploration content in the future from here in the Stream Center. And we really appreciate everybody joining along. It is truly an honor to be able to work with such an incredible stream team. So for Garrett Phillips, Josh Scott, the incomparable Amanda Holly, I'm JB Buno. A shout out to everybody who helped us produce this stream. Obviously, there's a lot more ahead for NASA, and the NASA Plus broadcast continues. We have to wrap this up here from the Stream Center, but we wanted to say a thank you and a good night here from Tampa, Florida. For everyone here at WFLA News Channel 8 and Next Star Nation, we'll see you soon. Farewell.